So, should we sell our Kaspa? Should we give up all hope? Kaspa's pretty much dead. I mean, why don't we just sell it for Toshi? Toshi is probably going to 100x from here. Kaspa can't get more than like a 2 or 3x. In fact, Kaspa might not even break its all-time high. So let me talk a little about Toshi. Toshi, me and Toshi, we go way back. I remember buying it like way back in the beginning. I wish I had bought more. At the time, I had put a little bit more emphasis on Miggles, but I was buying Toshi. I was stacking here and there, 50, 100 bucks, 50 or 100. I had a very low market cap, and I thought it was doing pretty good. And I was like, it has a pretty damn good narrative. It's, the cat of Brian Armstrong and so on. And, there's going to be a base season. Of course there is, right? At the time of this recording, we're now experiencing a BNB season, which has totally caught me off guard. Didn't expect that, but I'm making a ton of money with BNB tokens. And I'm hoping that in a couple of weeks, we're going to see base season. And I'm hoping that Toshi is going to lead the charge. But there was a time when people had lost a lot of hope for Toshi. Here we have a chart right here on 3-day candles. And it shows that last year, in June, it had a peak right here. It actually, had its all-time high back here at the time. And didn't really do too much. There were a lot of tokens that were making like their all-time highs in like end of June and July, like Kaspa made its all-time high. Brett made its all-time high. And then Toshi kept on going down. And I remember that people were whining about Toshi. People in my community, people in other communities. I just see people talking there like Toshi's not going anywhere, right? And then Trump gets elected, and we have the beginning of the Trump pump, a very, very nice run-up where a lot of people made a lot of money and a lot of coins, and Toshi didn't really do too much. You see right here, it pumped like a little bit, but then again, didn't go anywhere near its previous highs, right? And so people just like, okay, the run-up was ending, and people lost all hope. So at the time, I remember thinking, when people start whining and complaining about a particular token that's, is pretty strong, right? It's got all the qualities and characteristics of a very good token, a very good coin, but it's not doing anything. And when people start whining and complaining, that's when something happens, right? And then those whiners and complainers, they become cheaters and they get out, and then they become sorry because the token they sold too early, starts to pump. And then they got listed on Coinbase. Yeah. And now everybody loves Toshi. So the moral of this story is people are getting fed up with Kaspa. People are getting out early. And people are going to be sorry, at least in my opinion. Not financial advice, of course. But this has happened a few times before in the past. And, it happened with Toshi, of course. This happened with Solana. I remember when like FTX collapsed and, there were a lot of outages in Solana. Solana's price plummeted. Everybody thought that Solana was dead, right? But apparently it's not. And if you stuck around with Solana, you're sitting pretty. Something similar happened, with XRP. XRP, went up to whatever it was, like $3, and a nice all-time high. There was these lawsuits with the SEC, and we're down to 10 cents. XRP is dead. But apparently it's not. So, this happens. And you have to look. Does this particular project have all the qualities and characteristics of something phenomenal, something great, right? Does it have the potential? Does it have some sort of a backing? Does it have the technology? Does it have the community behind it and so on? And a lot of people who just can't tolerate the frustration that they're getting, that their token is not, leading the charge into glory, yeah, people start complaining and they start getting out, and then eventually they become sorry. So should I sell my Kaspa? I don't know. I don't think so. I think I'm doing just fine where I am. I'm making a lot of money with meme coins. I made a lot of money with like these DEX tokens and like MYX. I did a 550X. Link in the description below if you want to get into that type of action. And I think I'm doing pretty good. I got my biggest bag is Kaspa, and I think I'll stay with it for the long term. And I'll make my money elsewhere, and I'll just buy more Kaspa and take advantage of these prices that are cheap, because they might not be cheap for longer. It might be cheap for a few more months, for another year, but this cycle, this dollar cycle, is not going to end anytime soon, because it's not a crypto cycle, as I keep on explaining in tons of my videos. And QT is going to end very soon. QE is going to start. Interest rates are going to keep going down, and they're going to stimulate the economy. We have global liquidity been pumping for about a year. The crypto market and total crypto market cap is going to surge into the tens of trillions. And Kaspa, even if it maintains its current market share, we're going to be looking at like a $20 Kaspa, at least, probably a lot more. So yeah, I'm going to be keeping my Kaspa, and I'm going to be proud.